Alright, I know you piano players thought I left you out, the keyboard players. You have a very difficult task when it comes to ministering with your keyboard during the preacher or the preaching time. You have to almost have 12 hands. And I say that because you can only hold a note with a sustain pedal for a certain amount of time before that note begins to fade out. So you're constantly trying to hold a bottom and play two right and left hand chords while there's a bass going. So here's a technique that I learned because I played piano before I was an organist for about 10 years before I started playing the organ full time. So I got I built up a concept of how when the preacher is ministering, and it's just a piano, how you can accompany them also. We're still in the key of C, and again, as you saw in our organ session, you are very attentively listening to the spoken word and the tonality of the person that is speaking. If you can hear them in the key of C, which I say, I think in one of my courses, one of the earlier courses, I says find your internal tone, because that'll give you an idea how to center yourself musically. Mine happens to be C. So I'm centered musically when I hear C because it also reverberates in me as an internal tone. I know in C, I'm right there. Whatever happens in C. So I'm there because that's my own personal internalized tone that I actually practice from and I start all my lessons from. So here's what we can do. Again, same chords, except now you're going to jump. Bottom bass, quick. When that climb happens, you're just going to hold and make the same changes, but now you're giving that bass lead, and this is where the timing problem will come. This is just trial and error, or they say on-the-job training. How to know. That jump was one of the hardest things I had to learn in my coming up as a musician. How to and be able to get to the chord. That is only practice. So you practice very slowly first. Let me slow that down again. First your bottom, then your chord. Your bottom, your chord, your bottom, your chord, your bottom, your chord, and then your bottom resolve, your last chord. Now don't go back to the bottom, but finish it off. And give a little tingling at the top. Again, this happens in split seconds. If you're a church musician or you've sat in churches and you wonder, gee, how do those guys know what chord to play? 99% of the time, they don't. It's what they practice determines what you're going to play. Because a person ministering sometimes can go up, can go down, can go sideways, can go backdoor on you, and you're like, oh, okay, how do I stay with them? You set a pattern. And you find out, are they going to stay in that pattern with you, or are they going to lead you out of that pattern? Because sometimes they will stay there in the 4 chord. They may play up to that diminished chord and then come out. And usually when they come out, you know they're getting ready to land in a sense, tonal wise. They once they get spot so high, they're coming back down. And of course, you again, as a piano player, pay attention to the person who is ministering to give them an opportunity to catch their breath, to gather their thoughts for the next spoken word that's going to come out. So you are constantly aware. You are watching what's happening in the service. I can't stress that too much. You are watching. You are part of what's happening. You are a part of the message that is being conveyed to those that are listening. So you don't want to overplay the messenger, in a sense. but you want to be accompanying them. So to make preaching a pleasure for them, and music has a way of emphasizing what's being said. Too much sometimes can kill what the spoken word is. People are getting locked into what you're doing musically. So you keep it simple. That's one of my pet phrases. Keep it simple, Sam. The KISS technique. Keep it simple. Give a few worship chords, which we're going to cover later on. Yes, you have to, as a piano player, I say, often works harder than the organist. The organist might have to think more because they got many more drawbars, and they got to worry about the feet, and they got to worry about the two manuals. But no one works as hard, and I speak that from experience, harder, I should say, than a keyboard/piano player. Because everything you do, if you don't play hard, it won't play loud. You play soft, it won't be heard. And most times you're competing with not just the spoken word through an amplification, but through an organ amplification, through a bass player amplification, and through drummers who love to just beat them skins to death. So you're constantly working hard, trying to, again, support from your aspect in the service. And there's nothing like having a piano player, and I'm going to stress that a lot in my course. There's nothing like having a piano player in church service. Organ and keyboards are fine, but if you got a nice piano in the background, it just does something to people. Alright, then we'll leave you piano players out. Okay, this is ends for this part of the session. We have more coming in the month of February, and we're going to try and get to every key in the keyboard. See you at the next time. God bless. Hi, welcome to Sam's Gospel Music Course.